Hey, what's up, guys? You already know the drill. It's your boy, the Bearded Padawan, and as you can see, there is snow on the ground behind me. I am wearing a Santa Claus hat, so naturally, it's almost Christmas time. But, you know why we're really here. Tomorrow is the big premiere for Star Wars The Last Jedi, and this week's vlog is going to be a little special. Obviously had to film it a whole lot earlier than when I normally film videos, and this is being posted a couple days after everything kind of settles down. So with that, let's just go ahead and get started with this. So as you can tell this week, I am not alone. I am joined by someone. Tell them who you are.
I'm Andrew.
This is my very good friend Andrew, as he just stated. He is the one that ever so graciously gifted me with the Lego Kylo Ren TIE Fighter, as you saw in my last video. He is a wonderful and jolly soul. This is what, round 2 for us going to a Star Wars premiere?
Yes, 2.
How long did we camp out for The Force Awakens?
3 hours, 4?
Something like that. I don't know. There was nothing better to do, and they were like, hey, you can just come in and sit as long as you want. So I was like, wow, we got nothing going on. We were still kind of tired after pre-gaming by watching the original trilogy the night before, which, praise the Lord, we're only going to watch Force Awakens before this one. So,
Yeah.
Andrew,
Yes.
I believe you brought something that I paid you for.
I did.
So let's see what object number 1 is we got. We have the movie moment of the escape pod landing from A New Hope. It's got the escape pod that C-3PO and R2 crashed in, obviously. Really nice. The R2-D2 actually has the third little leg sticking out. Just a really nice moment from the movie, when R2 and C-3PO are kind of, being douche canoes to each other. And R2's probably swearing for all we know. We have to assume that that's what the beeps are about, but yeah, a great moment. So, let's move on to number 2. I'm going to set this right here. Number 2 is the Cantina face-off between Han and Greedo. Now, I know this is a whole big thing because of, remastered, re-edited nonsense and stuff of who shot first. Let's be real. It was Han. It was Han.
Yeah. Also, probably one of the best moments ever.
And I really like how they did this, because, if you look on the back of the box here, so we don't have to lean forward, they even have Han with his leg up on the table, blaster down to the side. It's a really great looking moment. When they put out the Cloud City duel from Episode 5, I already knew that they were going to be making more of these things, and just the A New Hope ones themselves have been, amazing so far, so it makes me really stoked to see what they're going to do from possibly other movies if we get them. Let's move on to the third and final one of this video. Thirdly, we've got the trash compactor escape scene. You've got Luke in his stormtrooper gear, Leia trying to help brace the walls that are closing in. I forget the name of the creature that grabs Luke. We'll put that in a little thing title down at the bottom, but you can see its head, its eyeball poking out, and right there you can see a tentacle reaching to grab Luke. Again, these scenes are just all terrific, really great pieces to have. I think when you called me and said that you found these things at your Walmart, you were like, I'm going to pick up one for myself too. Which one do I get? Which he ended up picking up the Death Star duel for himself. I did manage to score one of those online. I'll probably do an unboxing after Christmas of that. But yeah, these are just, they're really nice moments. The Death Star duel one's really nice and sleek, and the backing that they provide in the box looks even cooler. But now Andrew has obviously been busting his chops for me time and time again. So that being said, I'd like to present you with this Raising Cane's gift card as a thank you and a Christmas present to you.
Thank you so much.
This is yours. $25. You can drown yourself. Take a bath in cane sauce for all you like, but this kid right here has been a true G with being a Star Wars fan like me. Just been helping me out, keeping an eye out for things. Really excited to be going to yet another premiere, which, let's be real, we're probably going to be doing this for the next couple years.
Yes.
I mean, at least this time we only have to wait 6 more months for the next one with Solo. But we've got some great content lined up for you tonight. We're going to be taking a quick break to settle in and go to home church. with the Bears tonight, which I've mentioned them before. But when we get back from that, we're going to be filming a little bit more. We're going to be doing, like I mentioned, kind of a before and after reaction segment. So we've got some questions that we've come up with for the before segment that we're going to be going over to help prep for tomorrow with The Last Jedi. So we'll be right back in a flash. So we are under 24 hours away from The Last Jedi at this point. Matter of fact, at this point we should be sitting down to film the after segment by this time tomorrow. So we came up with, well, I'm sure Andrew has some questions that'll pop in his head. But we have a couple questions that we're going to discuss for the before segment of just things to speculate and look forward to in the movie. So, number one, is Rey going to end up staying good or be a bad person? No, there people have been thinking, just based off the trailer, that Rey is going to go to the dark side. What do you think?
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, when Luke says, reach out, what do you see? She says, light, darkness, and something else.
Well, of course. Well, I mean, it's the balance of the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a good and a
But,
bad.
do you think maybe Snoke will be able to convince her for a little bit to give into the hatred?
Nah, I think we might see something more from I can't remember his name.
Kylo.
Yeah, I'm an awful person.
Well, you have to keep in mind now, though, Kylo Ren is not in good standing with Snoke at this point. At least from where we left him with The Force Awakens, along with General Hux, because they both kind of like they both blew it because they're both trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
I honestly, it could happen. Will it? We'll find out in about 20 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It would be too predictable almost.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: if we're sticking along the same trail of where the movies have gone before, some people could see that their positions are going to flip flop here, where Kylo is actually going to come to the good side and Rey's going to become evil.
Yeah.
Because she's the more powerful one because of the midichlorians.
Oh, dear God. Well, that's it, folks. We're wrapping this up for the rest of there's nothing left. We hit a brick wall now.
Brick wall is in your face. So.
The second question. We've already lost Han Solo. May he rest in peace. Do you think Luke is going to live, or is he going to die?
I think he'll live.
Because I keep seeing the meme that says Star Wars Episode 8 and the opening scroll says, please don't let Luke die, please don't let Luke die, please don't let Luke die.
I think he's going to live. I have a couple of reasons for why he's going to live. One, I think he's going to live just because of the importance of his character. From the trailer, it looks like definitely Kylo is going to try to kill his mom, Leia. From the trailer, it looks like it. Looks like it.
If that happens, I will cry. You judge me and I'll put my fist so far up your nostril, I'll scratch your brain.
It's a fair trade-off. No,
if I can find it amongst all the floof. Okay, let's turn up the heat a little bit on this. Debate time, and I'm not including original trilogy characters just because that's its own debate. Out of the sequel trilogy characters, who's the best pilot? Rey, Poe, or Kylo Ren? Based off speculation from the trailer, Kylo looks like he picked up a tip or two from his old man before he, shanked him with his janky lightsaber prison shiv.
I think, respectively looking at all of them, they're all great. As we saw in The Force Awakens, Poe has very good capabilities of turning around. And from the trailer, for 8, we see some really cool capabilities with an X-wing.
I will say this: based off of the Poe Dameron comic series, they do not give Poe's character and abilities enough credit in The Force Awakens. Like if you read the comic series, if you pick that up, I've mentioned it in past videos before. It sets up The Force Awakens finding Lor San Tekka on Jakku really nicely with Poe's story, and it gets a better backstory than the Before the Awakening novel. I don't know. It would have to be a tie between Poe and Kylo for me, but I have to see Kylo in more action because he was pulling off like the traditional Anakin Skywalker spin there in the trailer. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I know where
yeah.
he got that from.
I don't know. See, this is where I think Rey's power comes in. Rey's union with the Force.
Yeah.
Like her strength with the Force, because it's really cool how they're painting her in a picture of almost kind of like innocence, because she knows nothing really about the Force, and the Force isn't really known in the universe nowadays.
At this point,
I mean,
it's back
like,
to like kind of a myth type deal, sort of.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's why I don't think that's why I'm saying like they're all great. I don't know, it's really hard. I want to say maybe Rey, not to be like stereotypical, but just because of the fact of what we've seen from her from the trailers.
Might I add, the episode 8 trailers, like all the fancy things where they're flying through the mines of Crate and stuff, I'm assuming that it's probably Chewbacca flying, but we don't know for sure who's actually piloting the Falcon.
Yeah. And I mean, when she's going through she's literally flying the Falcon through,
the Star Destroyer and Force Awakens. Yeah, that.
Like that's kind of like that's super quick reflexive moments. Like that's Anakin type style stuff with the reflexes.
Are you trying to get us down a theory of she's related to Anakin?
No, not at all. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is the fact that, like, we're seeing similar things, not in any way, shape, or form that they're related, but the fact that both of them have very strong powers.
Yeah.
So.
And that just leads into the last thing, like, what would you say you're most stoked for with this movie?
I'm excited to see...
As far as characters or moments in the movie and stuff.
I'm excited to see Kylo's place in this, because he was going to... Hux was supposed to go and get Kylo at the end of Force Awakens so that he could take him to Snoke, and I really am excited.
Which is on the Supremacy, that giant, what the French would call, I don't know what, but the Supremacy is like the big ship where Snoke resides and stuff, so like I agree, that's going to be tight, with his Praetorian guards and stuff. And
I am excited to see, also real quick, rabbit trail here, coming from the last question, I am, maybe not the last question, but just a thought that popped in my head, I am really stoked to see what Luke means when he says, I saw this raw power before. Because there's many theories.
Yes.
Because there's many theories with Kylo, with Vader, with his father, and with Palpatine. So it's like I'm really excited to see what the heck that even means, where that even going. Maybe it's to all of them. Maybe it's a metaphor. Like I said, maybe it's a metaphor to all of them, or maybe just maybe, it's meaning to like really some things that he sees within himself.
Yeah, I'm curious from the trailer. Who do you think is going to win the fight, Finn or Phasma? Because like this has been a long time coming for this to happen.
I don't know, because like Phasma's her backstory is crazy. Scary, yeah, crazy scary. So it's like, I don't know, because like Finn, he's a main character. I mean, so is Phasma, but like
to be fair, Phasma directly trained Finn in melee hand-to-hand combat too. Yeah. Wow. He was actually one of the top stormtroopers in the program at that time. Like, if you read...
Well, he didn't have any incidents, and apparently... Because remember, Phasma says that, like, this was his first incident. So it appears to me...
But...
What?
But, there was. I was just watching this today, and it totally made sense because of the Before the Awakening novel. That was not his first offense.
What?
He was known in training to show compassion and try and help out the other stormtroopers that were lacking behind in the training programs. And Phasma had always been like, yo, like, if someone's straggling, just let them go, let them get killed. Like, or killed in that case. And so, she has, always done what is needed to, survive and climb the ranks. That's why she probably, most likely, deliberately lied about that being Finn's first offense. Because not too long after that happened, he was directly shipped to go on the raid on Jakku. So, keeping that in mind, there is a lot more conflict that's going to be coming about in this than we realize. Because if you, like for example, the trooper at the beginning of TFA that puts that bloody handprint on, was one of Finn's old squad mates, as well as the guy that yells "traitor" with the big baton. That was another one of his squad mates from training. So naturally, like, I'd be pretty dang mad too and want to, punch someone in the nose if they betrayed me like that, or maybe lop their head off with a axe or something. I don't know. There's just
I don't know.
There's so many different things that like I'm excited for.
People don't like the original trilogy, and not that like I'm bringing crazy fan theories into where we're at now, but like I don't know. I'm just always excited about the power of the Force. And its workings.
Yeah.
Because like to me, like when I think of the Force, I'm thinking of like honestly, like people can care, you can combat it. That's fine. I don't care. But like to me, the Force is a separate entity.
Yes.
But not just
agree.
Not just like a separate entity that willy nilly just does whatever. But it's kind of like this co-mixture of like cooperation with people.
Well, because if you listen to like people have said in the past, the Force is around everything. It's in everyone. They might not be able to tell or know.
Yeah.
But it's there.
But with that though,
you can't see it. You can't see it, but it's there.
That's why. That's why I'm so excited to see like what is going on, and how they like kind of like put little Easter egg things from like the beginning trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Like that's why I was mentioning the whole power thing between like Anakin and his young age. And
yeah.
Rey. I mean Rey's not young like Anakin was in the first in the trilogy. But the whole idea of them not being related, of course not, but like of them having kind of almost like this same power.
Yeah.
So same power type deal. So I don't know.
I don't know. Like I feel that a lot because like people like to nitpick the fandom, and are edgelords and always talk about how the extremist fans are stupid or it's overrated, and you know what? Like, some people just watch it and they go, "Oh, cool, starships and lasers." But and I mean, the prequel trilogy, for example, did have its flaws. I'll still enjoy them and the mythology behind it and how it contributes to the overall line saga.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that Rian Johnson is more than capable from what I've heard from everyone. If it's impressed, veterans to the franchise like Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher before she passed, then I'm content with how it's going to turn out. And I mean, it's already getting extremely high praise from the Hollywood premiere that just happened. Yeah. And people are even going as above to say that it is better than The Empire Strikes Back. That's a very tall order. But you at least know one person that after seeing this, even if it's good, they'll be like, well, I didn't like it because of X, Y, and Z, but I'll still buy it on home media for consistency. It's just, everyone's a critic. That's just life. But I, considering this is the second to last movie in the Skywalker saga, it's about to hit like a huge milestone because we've got Episode 8, the big conflict between the Resistance and the First Order, and Episode 9, the war to end all wars. At least I think that's something along the lines of what John Boyega said in an interview. I'd have to go check the credibility of that and where I found it from, but like from what he understood, like Episode 9 is the big like final thing with that, because I'm like, people are even getting nitpicky and stuff when Daisy Ridley said, "Oh, I'm not playing Rey after Episode 9." They're like, "Oh my gosh, who are they going to get to play after that?" And it's like, no, you freaking dingbats. Of course she's not going to play Rey after Episode 9, because guess what? The original way that saga goes is beginning, 1, 2, and 3, middle, 4, 5, 6, end, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. I know how to count, nerds.
I don't, sorry.
But, I mean, and it's interesting because, like, and I mean, even after Episode 8, like, people liked it that much at Lucasfilm that Rian Johnson's going to be doing his own, like, original trilogy. Not based off Clone Wars or Knights of the Old Republic, just totally new. So, that's why I'm really excited to see 8, because we're going to be seeing the finished product of a director who's going to have Star Wars in his grasp for, like, the next 5 or so years, over the course of 5 or so years. Yeah, so I'm excited for it. It's gonna, and apparently from what I've seen people say, it does not feel like a 2.5-hour movie. That's how immersed you are in it when you see it. Which is wild to me, because like you watch some of the older ones and they don't feel nearly as long. But we're getting like, and I think apparently the first cut Rian Johnson had of the film was like over 3 hours long. And he said already, no director's cut, so I'm like, but deleted scenes will be aplenty on the home release, which we can expect by the time, probably in the late spring or right before when Solo comes out next year. So it'll be good to see the next chapter. I'm bummed we have to wait till like what 2019 until episode 9. I think.
Is it 2019?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get Solo next year, and then 2019 is when they're supposed to start filming Obi-Wan. That's a whole nother can of worms to open for later. A good can of worms, like gummy worms. A bag of gummy worms, if you will.
Like sour gummy worms? No.
Sour stuff.
He can have the gummy worms. I'll have the sour gummy worms.
Sour stuff makes my face invert.
Kind of like the Yoda, you know.
If I can find a picture of him, I'm gonna put it in over that sound of. All right, so we have reached the point in this video
that you probably don't want to watch anymore, but that's okay.
Because he's right. Because we're gonna be waking up tomorrow, getting ready to go see the movie, but we're gonna be talking about the after experience, and there will be spoilers. So this is warning number 1. If you're watching this and you haven't seen The Last Jedi yet, pause it, go see it, and then 2.5 hours later come back and finish this. Or just click out of it, whatever you want to do. But again, spoilers, we're going to be talking about them probably in like the next couple seconds when the clip transitions. So that being said, we will see you tomorrow for The Last Jedi. Okay, so you can't really see us, but we're sitting here waiting for the movie. And we got here like an hour early. You can see Andrew's glasses, and we have to be really quiet. But we'll see you after the movie. Folks, again, if you haven't seen the movie, click out right now, because we're about to go into some, there's more beefiness in this movie than a Taco Bell 5-layer burrito. And he's Chubbs that enjoys his burritos. So again, spoiler! Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 because you're a peasant. Let's just start right at the get-go on this list.
Okay.
Luke was kind of, he was your stereotypical, like, old person, like the, you kids get off my lawn sort of thing. Like, literally, the first thing that he does when we pick up after The Force Awakens, Rey hands him this saber, and he just tosses it and walks away. Doesn't say a word. I'm pretty sure the first thing he said, go away.
Yeah, sure it was. Pretty sure it was.
We'll have to watch it again because it's a lot to take in. But man, almost this whole movie dealing with Rey and trying to open up about what happened with Kylo. He's a big jerk the whole time. Like, and he eventually comes across R2 in the Falcon later in the film, and he reverts back to his typical, whiny farm boy self. Like. You can assume, if you've seen some of the TV spots, you can assume that R2 used some choice language with Luke, because Luke says, Sacred Island, watch the language. So, it was really cool to, to see him in this, like, very guiltful, broken state, and the sense of redemption that he achieves in this film, which we'll get into on down the list.
Yes, we will.
That being said, there were probably double the amount of memorable one-liners in this as opposed to The Force Awakens. My favorite is right at the beginning when Poe is in his X-Wing trying to patch through to General Hux.
It's great.
General Hux is just like, can you hear me? And Poe's just trolling him, like, stalling for time. He's like, okay, I'll hold. Just insulting Hux on the open comm channel. Just buying time to power up this, what I can assume is some sort of booster on his X-Wing. I've talked about it in previous videos. If you watched My unboxing for the Last Jedi crate from Smuggler's Bounty on the back of the X-Wing, on that pop, you can actually see it.
Yeah.
And it was cool expanding on Poe's character again, because he just does not like following orders when they aren't things. Like, he disobeyed Leia, which earned him a slap in the face.
But I will say, it's kind of like, we saw him, like, he's always been that way, though.
Yes.
Because you see him in The Force Awakens, you know, kind of being the same way.
And they delve into that even further in the comic series, so it's nothing new. He's always had a problem with authority. There were just a lot of Luke lines. There were some memorable, not necessarily one-liners, but situations that happened. My favorite was when Rey is training with her staff, you've seen in the trailers, on the rock or whatever, and she turns around and is like, you know what, why am I practicing with this dumb toothpick? I got a lightsaber in my bag. And she accidentally slices the rock, which falls down to where two of the island caretakers are pushing like a wheelbarrow of stuff, and the rock just obliterates the cart. This caretaker's left holding the handles and just goes, looks up at Rey, who's just like, but,
Oh, man.
And while we're on the topic of Octu, Porgs.
Oh, yes.
If you hate Porgs, message me, I'll give you my address, and we'll fight it out, and whoever loses gets to be right. So I'm going to win, naturally.
Yeah.
Porgs, they weren't the central, like, there was a lot of Porgs in this film, but they weren't all at once, and it spread out nicely. I mean, we see Chewbacca evidently cooking Porgs on a fire, and it cuts to him, like, about to take a bite, to this Porg shivering and just like, don't do it!
It's like crying.
And then when they're flying through the mines of Crate, the one squawking, he swats it off the dash or whatever, and then the one splats up against the window. I was just like... And throughout Rey's training on the island, you could just hear them squawking in the background.
All the time.
Which we were promised a lot of action in this film. And not just with spaceships. Boy, did we get some hand-to-hand combat. First up, we've got the fact that Kylo does Snoke dirty.
And,
And
dirty.
performs some irreversible liposuction on an already thin creature.
Pulls a Darth Maul, if you will.
While Snoke is sitting on his throne with Rey's saber right next to him, Kylo inadvertently manipulates the saber to turn, and instead of activating his saber to kill Rey, he activates that, which stabs through Kylo. He pulls it forward, slices him, and it leaves half of Snoke's body on the floor, the other slumped in the throne with just an arm hanging on the side there, which is the only thing left sitting on that throne by the end.
Yeah.
But because of this, it triggers the Praetorian Guards to spring into action. They've just seen the person that their life training has been to protect get killed. So these, I believe there were 6 guards total.
Yeah, 6.
Each had different weapons. Man, they move fast.
They're strong, too. Also, they're armored.
Yeah.
Holy balls, they're armored.
You saw the one guy, like,
oh,
taunting them with, like, his sword, just, like, grinding it on his armor like that. I was like, Gordon Ramsay's up in this business. Ready to fillet some Jedi and...
Cook them up?
I mean, obviously Rey and Kylo both overcome all the guards, and it leads to a very, awkward moment that does not go as Kylo was hoping it would.
Yeah.
Did you really think Rey would join the dark side? Well, y'all's dumb. You're dumb. We're dumb for even bringing that up earlier in this video. So, that leads us to the other fight, which we've long awaited, which was Finn and Captain Phasma.
Oh, gosh.
And let me tell you, Finn did get his butt kicked quite a bit in that. We thought he was done for a sec. And then he comes back and like a ball bat to the face.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Busts a hole. In fact, and if you... Here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone watching this, but Phasma's armor was crafted from part of Palpatine's old ship. It's in the novel, I believe. So for the fact that Finn could bust a hole in that with a baton, that's just how good his training from Phasma was. You're looking at essentially two non-Force users, kind of like Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, master versus apprentice. And, man, Phasma went out with a bang, but we won't be seeing her anymore.
Real quick, though. Real quick. What Finn calls
Phasma. Chrome Dome.
Chrome Dome. Oh, man, that was so perfect.
Not only that, not only that, they're in, like, a hangar where all these, like, vehicles and stuff are, and as... This is just before the fight. Rewind a little bit. Just as Finn and Rose are about to be executed by executioner troopers, and AT-ST goes wild and starts shooting everyone, you come to find out BB-8 has gone and hijacked this thing. And that's how they escape and get to a shuttle.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So fast forward to the Battle of Crate. The Resistance is trapped, seemingly. It looks like this giant cannon is just going to take out, the giant door. It already busted a hole. And who shows up to face off against Kylo? Luke Skywalker finally shows up. So, as Luke is stalling for time, so that the Resistance can follow the native animals to the planet Crate, the crystalline foxes, which I believe, again, I might butcher this name, Vulptex, which derives from the Latin name for fox. While the Resistance are following these creatures to get out the back way, Luke faces off against Kylo. So Luke says something along the lines of he, withdraws his blade after a pretty, sick battle. Luke is pulling some Matrix moves and stuff.
Yeah.
But Luke says, if you strike me down now in anger, I'll just be around to haunt you as much as your dad. And that line got me. I was just like, So Kylo goes charging towards Luke, and you think, man, he just done sliced through him. He did. However, it turns out this whole time that Luke was on Crate was just some wacky Force, vision apparition thing, and he was never really there. He's still back on Octu. And due to all this energy, he's been around probably for what feels like 10, 15 minutes on Crate or so. During this whole battle, you see Luke's eyes back on Octu finally open, and after all this thunder and lightning and stuff, you see Luke sitting on this rock, and he just vanishes. Just his cloak's left, and he, transcends his physical form and becomes one with the Force. And that... He made fun of me. I almost started crying. I'll cry when I'm by myself. You leave me alone, you goon. And that was a big thing that I enjoyed because, this whole prequel, original, sequel trilogy is, about the Skywalker family. And Carrie Fisher in the behind-the-scenes clip they put out really nailed it home. It was about family. And when we see Kylo go off the deep end, we see Luke on the other spectrum of that, who, has seen essentially the rise and fall of the Empire, the death of his father transcending into the Force after being redeemed, the rise of the First Order, and his nephew turning bad. And we see him, kind of coming to terms with that. And, he's like, you know what? I did fail you. And it was... I don't want to say Luke was admitting fault to Kylo going off the deep end, because there was only so much he could do. And I think Luke realized that. And Luke was in the mindset that because the old Jedi Order was all at fault and stuff with their original text, the Jedi had to end. Which leads into another thing. Freaking Yoda.
Oh, gosh.
As Luke's going to burn down this tree, he turns around and there's Yoda. And Yoda, before Luke can even light this tree on fire, Yoda causes the Force to, lightning down and light this tree on fire, which blows Luke back. Yeah. And he's going up, yelling at Luke and stuff, thumping him on the head with his cane.
That was so great. That was so great.
And, it really helped Luke get the perspective that Yoda had since the prequel era. And he realized that, there is that very delicate balance, and Rey, is going to be leading into the next generation. That the old Jedi Order had come to an end. Yeah. But Luke was not the last Jedi. There was a lot of Moments where I thought they were going to kill people off. I thought they were going to kill Finn off at first.
Gosh.
And then thought they were going to kill Rose.
Like, nah.
The one thing that I really enjoyed, like, and I'll have to read the Leia novel that they put out, but Vice Admiral Haldo sacrifices herself to save the rest of the transports going to Crate. And let me just tell you, when Haldo maneuvers the cruiser to go to light speed and blow through the Supremacy, there's about 5 to 6 seconds of total silence.
Total silence.
You couldn't hear anyone breathe in that theater.
There was literally, it was completely silent. Like, nobody was even moving a muscle. No rappers were heard, you know, crunching, crimpling, you know, wherever. But it was complete and utter silence. And it was amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we'll just go into the overall thoughts on this, because overall,
Oh, man.
I still have to see it again and digest things even more.
I want to see it again.
But initial thoughts, wow.
I mean, just not that it was too fast, because it didn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie.
It did not.
But it also did not feel like it just went through like that. It was just so much was happening, or it felt like what was happening because of the tension.
This is why I'm excited that Rian Johnson is doing his own original trilogy now, because seeing the work that he did on this film just put my total faith in him. They are setting up the final episode of the Skywalker saga, which we might add, who are Rey's parents? Ding, ding, ding. Nobody's. And we were going to dive into going into a whole huge discussion on this, but we'll save that for another video regarding the full extent of the Force. But, you know, we got to see some new Force abilities and learn more about the Force. And it was kind of talking about that, like, no one owns the Force.
No one owns. That's something that was very adamant from Luke. I think it just real quick snippet, what's really cool about this is the fact that Luke is ending this Jedi Order, but also in a sense he's beginning the Jedi Order.
Yes.
With the fact that he said that, like, that basically the Force doesn't belong to anybody, but at that time he was still in this mentality of, like, guilt and shame, but he was still within the Force, even though, like, he technically kind of, like, left the Force a little bit, but it just opens up a whole new avenue of, like, this balance thing with the Force. So,
and it really set up what's going to happen to Rey in this final film. And I'm very interested to see the final confrontation between Rey and Kylo, because obviously, due to Snoke's manipulation, there was quite a bit of communication between the two of them via the Force. Yeah. And you have to wait 2 years for the next one. However, there's still plenty more to come between Solo, the Obi-Wan movie, Rian Johnson's new trilogy. There was a period of time where Star Wars was just a nostalgic film series to look back on. Y'all ain't getting rid of us for any time soon.
Nope.
Star Wars forever.
Nope.
Again, if you have any thoughts, what kind of stuff you guys liked about the film, please leave it in the comments. Let us know your favorite parts. I'm sure at some point we'll get Andrew back on here again very soon. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do so already, and we'll see you right back here next week in the cave. Thank you all. I'm the Bearded Padawan. This is Andrew, and may the Force be with you.